Great to be here with you guys today. Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham. The question we have this morning, did these two ladies go rogue on that final play? Was this play actually drawn up for Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham said, I think I'll make a different decision with the basketball? Was this play drawn up to get Kelsey Mitchell the game-winning shot so Stephanie White can run across the court, chase her down, tackle her, smother her with love?
Caitlin Clark hit the bottom of the net. The crowd exploded, and the game was over. But instead of a celebration, the air in the arena turned ice cold. Stephanie White stood there like she had just watched a tragedy unfold, while her superstar walked right past her without making eye contact. It wasn't just a game winner. It was a blatant act of defiance that left the coaching staff reeling. The silence between the two spoke louder than any roar from the stands. Something broke in that moment, and it was caught on live television for the entire world to see. This wasn't the play. This wasn't the plan. And the tension was about to boil over in the locker room.
Play drawn up to get Kelsey Mitchell the game-winning shot so Stephanie White can run across the court, chase her down, tackle her, smother her with love? Or was this for Caitlin Clark to take us home? Lexi Hull, at the end of the game on Indianapolis radio, she spilled the beans. She said, that play didn't go exactly as planned. Wait, what do you mean? Caitlin Clark had a wide open three. Wait, getting her wide open to win the game wasn't exactly as planned? Stephanie White's reaction after hitting the...
Everyone thought they were watching a masterclass in coaching, but the truth leaked out faster than anyone expected. Lexi Hull took to the radio waves and dropped a bombshell that confirmed what fans suspected. She admitted the final play didn't go exactly as planned, which is code for one thing in the basketball world: they went rogue. When you have a wide-open three-pointer for the best shooter in the world, and your teammate says it wasn't the plan, you have to wonder what the coach was actually thinking. The realization that Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham took matters into their own hands is sending shock waves through the league right now.
We ain't hugging. Stephanie White admits in the post-game press conference she didn't even draw up the play. So again, Stephanie, I'm not sure what you're actually there for, but Austin Kelly is the one that drew up the play. Austin Kelly is the one that's been drawing up all of these out-of-bounds plays after timeouts. The one that got Caitlin Clark the game-tying three against the Mystics, he drew that up. The Aaliyah Boston wide-open midi that she bricked, he drew that up. This play right here, he drew it up. Fortunately for us, his play design...
The clipboard said one thing, but the players said another. According to insiders and the tape, that final game-winning shot was actually drawn up for Kelsey Mitchell. The plan was to get Mitchell moving downhill, looking for a mid-range jumper or a drive to the rim to seal the deal. Caitlin Clark was merely a secondary option, a decoy meant to pull gravity away from the real target. But Sophie Cunningham saw something else on the floor. She saw the defense shifting and realized the scripted play was a dead end. In that split second, she decided to ignore the bench and trust the generational talent standing right in front of her.
Why the pass was late. Okay, interesting. Then we have Millie. I'm Millie Rock on any block. Then we have Millie. The first thing that shows that play wasn't for Caitlin is AB screening to free Mitchell. The second thing is the pin down isn't set for Cece. A lot of serendipity. Sophie made a clutch read and react play, and Cece is clutch as F. Now, if you look at the comments on this, many people are disagreeing. It was a decoy to get Cece open. I think you might be wrong. The play was to use Mitchell as a decoy.
The inbound pass was the moment the coup happened. Sophie Cunningham held the ball, scanning the floor as the seconds ticked away. The primary option, Kelsey Mitchell, was being smothered. Instead of forcing the ball into a crowded lane just to follow Stephanie White's orders, Sophie made a veteran read. She waited for the defense to miscommunicate, and then rifled the ball to the person who should have been the first choice all along. It was a clutch read and react play that bypassed the coaching staff's intentions entirely. Sophie and Caitlin were on the same wavelength, and that wavelength didn't include the instructions coming from the sideline.
I don't know. Stephanie White looking on. Caitlin, what are you doing? People are joking around. Yeah, this is the face you make when you just lost money on a bet. You fixed. Hate to see it. Now, folks, take a look at this interaction between the two. Caitlin Clark makes a shot. She's coming to walk off the court. Hits Cody McMahon with the tray. Can't see me, Cody McMahon. They go back to college. Daps up. Doesn't even look Stephanie White in the face.
If you want to see how a coach really feels, look at their face when the ball goes in. Most coaches would be sprinting across the court, screaming in joy, or tackling their players in a fit of excitement. Stephanie White did none of that. Her reaction was a startling lack of reaction. She stood frozen with her arms crossed, looking more like someone who had just lost a bet than a coach who had just won a game at the buzzer. Fans are already pointing out that if Kelsey Mitchell had hit that shot, Stephanie would have been dancing on the logo. The discrepancy in her energy is glaring, and it suggests a deep-seated frustration with her star player.
She's coming to walk off the court. Hits Cody McMahon with the tray. Can't see me, Cody McMahon. They go back to college. Daps up. Doesn't even look Stephanie White in the face. Doesn't even look her in the eyes. But you know who she did look in the eyes? Yeah, Sophie, that's what the fuck we do right there. That's the smile you get when you just get away with something, right? When you do your own thing and you get away with it, you act a little naughty and you get away with it. That's the smile you make. Oh yeah.
The walk-off was even more telling than the shot itself. As Caitlin Clark headed toward the tunnel, she passed within inches of Stephanie White. There was no high five, no hug, and not even a glancing look of acknowledgement. Caitlin kept her head straight, dapping up teammates, but completely icing out the head coach. This wasn't an accident. This was a clear message from a player who knows she just bailed out a system that doesn't fully support her. When you hit a shot like that and refuse to look your coach in the eyes, you're telling the world that the relationship is on life support. The tension is palpable.
Stephanie White says, "Oh, no. You better sit your ass down." Caitlin Clark, dejected. "Oh, no. You better sit your ass back down." That's craziness. "Oh, no. You better sit your ass back down." Can't make it up, man. You can't make it up. Stephanie White calling Caitlin Clark big shot C. Look at the face right here. And as CDS points out, this face could not scream "fuck you" any louder.
Caitlin's face after the shot told 1,000 stories. It wasn't the face of someone surprised by their own greatness. It was a smirk that said, "Yeah, we did our own thing, and it worked." It's that naughty smile you make when you break the rules and get away with it because the results are too good to argue with. She knew the play wasn't for her. She knew she was supposed to be a decoy. By taking that shot and sinking it, she essentially told the coaching staff that her instincts were better than their designs. It was a power move of the highest order, and the coaching staff had no choice but to swallow it.
They on the radio. Makes me feel like these guys went rogue. Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark gave each other a look coming out of the huddle. Say, that's what we got to do.
Steph, was that the play you drew up, or how much confidence do you have in Caitlin for that shot?
Well, Austin drew up the play. I mean, Austin does a lot of our end-of-game stuff, and
at this point, he should just coach, Stephanie. Please, can you take another leave of absence, please? At this point, Austin Kelly should just coach. He looks more of the part than you. I don't see him slugging around. I don't see him tweaking. I don't see his arms crossed. He actually carries himself like a leader. You carry yourself like
You count yourself like the most embarrassing part for Stephanie White is that she didn't even draw up the play that nearly failed. Reports have surfaced that Austin Kelly is the one actually designing these out-of-bounds plays during timeouts. While Stephanie stands there looking like a leader, it's Kelly who is doing the heavy lifting on the tactical side. He's the one who drew up the game-tying 3 against the Mystics and the wide-open look for Aaliyah Boston. For a head coach to be getting bailed out by an assistant play design, only for the players to ignore that design anyway, is a catastrophic look for her authority. Austin Kelly's involvement raises a lot of questions about what's actually happening behind the scenes if he's the one handling the high-pressure situations. What exactly is Stephanie White's role? Fans have noticed that Kelly carries himself with a level of leadership and composure that seems missing from the top of the hierarchy. While White is often seen looking stressed or crossing her arms in frustration, Kelly is focused on the execution. This dynamic creates a confusing environment for the players. Who are they actually playing for? When the game is on the line, it seems they trust their own eyes more than the person with the title. This game should never have come down to a rogue shot in the first place. The Fever had a massive 17-point lead that evaporated into thin air. How does that happen? It happens when you bench your best player for extended periods during the most critical stretches of the game. Stephanie White made the baffling decision to sit Caitlin Clark while the lead was bleeding away. It's a pattern that fans are growing tired of seeing. By the time Caitlin checked back in, the momentum had completely shifted. It took a miracle shot to fix a mess that was created by questionable substitutions and a lack of killer instinct. There was a moment on the sidelines that perfectly captured the hostility. Caitlin Clark was ready to check back into the game, sensing the urgency as the lead disappeared. But Stephanie White reportedly told her to sit her ass back down in a tone that was far from professional. It was a demeaning moment caught by those close to the action. To treat a generational talent like a child who needs to be disciplined, especially when the team is struggling, is a recipe for disaster. Caitlin's reaction was one of pure disbelief. You can only push a competitor that hard before they decide to stop listening to you altogether. The fans aren't holding back either. Social media is flooded with screenshots of Stephanie White's face during the final seconds, and the consensus is brutal. One fan pointed out that her expression couldn't scream FAQ any louder if it tried. People are joking that she looked like she just lost money on a fixed bet. While that might be hyperbole, the sentiment remains. The coach looked miserable in victory. When the fans can see the disdain from the nosebleed seats, you know the locker room is in trouble. They are winning in spite of the coaching, not because of it. And the supporters are vocal about it. Think about the optics of this. If Kelsey Mitchell had been the one to hit that 3, Stephanie White would have likely been running across the court to smother her with love. She probably would have tackled her in a celebratory heap. But because it was Caitlin, and because Caitlin went off script to do it, the reaction was non-existent. This level of favoritism or personal bias is poison for a team. It creates a divide where players feel they have to choose sides. The fact that Stephanie couldn't even fake a smile for a game-winning bucket shows just how deep the resentment really goes. Even the legends are being caught in the crossfire. Cheryl Miller was spotted at the bottom of the screen during the broadcast, and her reaction was just as cold. It seems there is a collective group of people who simply cannot stand to see Caitlin Clark succeed. They want her to fail so they can justify their outdated systems and restrictive coaching styles. They want a world where she is just another player on the roster handcuffed by a prison-style offense that doesn't allow for her unique flair. But greatness has a way of breaking through those handcuffs, much to the chagrin of the people holding the keys. Inside the locker room, the atmosphere was reportedly bizarre. Caitlin Clark was seen looking at Stephanie White with a sarcastic, yeah, good call Stephanie, type of energy. It was pure mockery. When the players know the coach is being bailed out by their individual brilliance, the respect evaporates. Caitlin knows she is the reason the team is relevant and winning. Yet she's being treated like a liability by the person supposed to lead her. The power dynamic has shifted completely. The players have realized they don't need the coach's permission to be great. And that is a dangerous place for any head coach to be. The offensive system itself is being labeled as tired, outdated, and ineffective. Fans are calling it a handcuffed prison because of how much it stifles the natural rhythm of the players. Instead of a fast-paced, modern attack that utilizes Caitlin's range, they are forced into stagnant sets that lead to blown leads. It's a miracle they are winning at all. The 17-point lead that was nearly lost is the perfect evidence of this systemic failure. If you can't hold a lead like that with the talent on this roster, the problem isn't the players, it's the person holding the clipboard and making the calls. Lexi Hull's radio interview is the smoking gun in this entire controversy. By admitting the play didn't go as planned, she confirmed the rogue nature of the shot. If getting your best player a wide-open look to win the game wasn't the plan, then the plan was inherently flawed. It reveals a coaching staff that is more interested in following a rigid structure than in actually winning games. Lexi looked like she knew she said too much as soon as the words left her mouth. You could see the realization that she just exposed the internal rift between the players' instincts and the coach's mandates. The defensive breakdown on the other side also played a huge role. Sonia and McMahon had a total miscommunication on the backside. They were supposed to switch, but instead they both followed Lexi Hull, leaving Caitlin Clark standing all alone at the top of the arc. It was a gift from the basketball gods, but it required Sophie Cunningham to have the guts to ignore the scripted play to take advantage of it. If Sophie had followed the rules, she would have forced a pass to a covered Mitchell. Instead, she chose the rogue path and secured the win. It was a high-stakes gamble that paid off. Sophie Cunningham's role in this cannot be overstated. She was the trigger puller for this act of rebellion. As the inbounder, she had the ultimate power to decide where that ball went. By waiting that extra second for the defense to mess up, she showed more composure than the entire coaching staff combined. She knew the consequences of ignoring the play call, but she cared more about the win than the coach's ego. That kind of veteran leadership is exactly what this team needs, but it's also exactly what is putting her at odds with Stephanie White. The players are taking control. The calls for Stephanie White to be fired are reaching a fever pitch. Fans are tired of watching a coach who looks like she doesn't want to be there. They are tired of the blown leads and the disrespectful treatment of their star player. The sentiment is clear: fire the coach and let the players play. Some are even suggesting that Austin Kelly or even Caitlin herself should just take over the coaching duties. When the fan base loses faith this completely, it's usually only a matter of time before a change is made. The rogue shot might have won the game, but it might have also cost White her job. Comparing Austin Kelly to Stephanie White is like night and day. Kelly carries himself like a leader who is invested in the team's success. He doesn't look like he's tweaking or slouching around on the sidelines. He doesn't have his arms crossed in a defensive posture. He's active. He's engaged. And he's the one actually drawing the winning plays. The players clearly respond to him differently. If the organization wants to save their season and their relationship with Caitlin Clark, they might need to look seriously at making a permanent move to the person who is actually doing the work. At the end of the day, this game will be remembered for the shot. But the story behind it is much darker. It's a story of a team divided, a coach who has lost her locker room, and a superstar who is tired of being held back. Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham didn't just win a game. They sent a message to the front office. They proved that they can win on their own terms, even if it means going rogue. The victory was a celebration for the fans, but for the team, it was a declaration of independence. The era of blindly following flawed coaching is officially over. What happens next is anyone's guess, but the status quo is no longer sustainable. You can't have a head coach who refuses to celebrate with her best player. You can't have a system where the players have to ignore the play calls to get a win. The tension has reached a breaking point, and the world is watching to see who blinks first. Whether it's a trade, a firing, or a complete overhaul of the coaching staff, something has to give. Caitlin Clark is the future of the league. And if the